If she's a liability, then she'll need to be with me. If she don't want to listen and learn, or she don't bring something to the table, then she'll need to be around me.
So what's good, homies? It's your man, Dr. BOA. You know, sometimes we can get bits of information from a man about one particular topic and maybe not another particular topic because that one area is his area of expertise. And many of us throughout our lives, especially when we're younger men, we focus on making money. And there are very few men who can talk about coming from the bottom and rise into the epitome of that particular industry in more detail with more proof than Floyd Money Mayweather, undefeated boxing champion. Now, we're not going to sit and debate whether he's the greatest fighter ever or not. What I do know is he's a fighter who's undefeated. And he's made a lot of money and changed the way that men make money. But Floyd also has had some pretty public interesting situations with women. But I'll tell you one thing that Floyd agrees with Dr. BOA on. Anyone you have in your life must contribute to the process of your progress. Anyone, especially a woman. Because as a man who's in a position to provide and protect, that's exactly what you're going to do when you allow a woman into your life. And the reality of the scenario is, if you're going to do that, then she has to serve a purpose.
On my team, you have to be an asset. You can't be a liability. If you're a liability, then you don't need to be on my team. That's no different from a female that's in my life. If she's a liability, then she'll need to be with me. If she don't want to listen and learn, or she don't bring something to the table, then she'll need to be around me.
And cooking, cleaning, and all of those things that a wealthy man can pay someone else to do and not have to deal with the interpersonal interaction with them, those things don't have any value. Bearing children, hey, a wealthy man has many options to bearing children. So you're no special woman because you want to have my children, because you want to have Floyd's children, because you want to have any man who has any level of fame and notoriety and a tad bit of financial success. You are not giving that man something that he can't get anywhere else. Never allow a woman into your life who serves no purpose. And the only purpose she can serve is to buy into the process of your progress. Let's cover some things now. We're not talking about the dynamics of a relationship once it starts. We're talking about the parameters that govern whether a woman can be in your life in that capacity or not. What is she going to do? You have two kinds of people in the world. You have someone who's going to contribute to carrying the weight, and you have someone who's just going to lay on top of the dumbbell and just be added weight. See, you can't help me carry the weight from on top of the weight. You got to be under the weight, grinding with me. Now, am I saying a woman has to come in and serve the same purpose I serve in my life? Of course, I'm not saying that. That's virtually impossible. But as a man who has already built himself to a certain point in life, you must understand that it is your job to protect that. You have learned that you only deserve what you work for. So when a woman comes into your life, what makes her worthy of the lifestyle upgrade, of the overall quality of life upgrade that she's going to have just by being in your life? We're not even talking about when you put her in a wife position. We're talking about just being around you. Something as simple as you flying first class. We're not even talking about private jet level because most of us aren't on private jet level. I mean, you know, as far as having our own private jet, we can fly private. But for me, flying private isn't worth it unless you have your own jet. Not as a regular mode of transportation. But I will say this to you. Knowing that you only deserve what you're willing to earn, then that leads into the mindset that you only appreciate what you work for. See, no matter what you give a woman, she's not going to appreciate it if she doesn't work for it. If you just meet a woman and marry her in 3 months and she hadn't proven anything to you, she's not going to value the position of being your wife. You got to make a woman work for that. You got to lay down the things. The same way a woman goes to school, she knows the curriculum. She knows everything she has to do to make it to her sophomore year. She knows everything she has to do to make it to her junior year. She knows everything she has to do to make it to her senior year. And she knows that there's a dissertation necessary for her to graduate. She knows these things. So when you think about these things, she's already used to having to work for what she gets. What you do is devalue yourself and undervalue the things that you provide in a woman's life, whether it's wisdom, understanding, knowledge, or it's more paper that she can never make from her degree she got in college. It don't really matter which one it is. Whatever you're giving a woman is something that she didn't have before. She's not giving you anything that you didn't have before unless she proves herself to be both virtuous and very intensive when it comes to contributing to the process of your progress. Those are the only two things a woman can give you that you can't just get from any woman. You can get intimacy from any woman. You can get a woman to cater to you and tell you how great you are from any woman. You can get a woman to cook. You can get a woman to clean. You can get a woman to do all of those things. But a woman who is dedicated to you and what you're doing and what you've done is very hard to come by. So that's the only thing that differentiates her from all the other women. Another thing is this. There's no such thing as true overnight success. You know that. I know that. We see someone, man, and we see they have one song and we think it's their first song. And then you look up their history and you realize, man, they've already put out 10 underground albums, 8 mixtapes. So everyone has to grind to get to where they want to be. So what happens when you just meet a woman and thrust her in the highest position in your life that a woman could possibly hold? That's an overnight success for her. That's an overnight success. Think about all the mistakes we make in business. You make a mistake in business, man, then, hey, man, you got to suffer the consequence of that. You got to build yourself back up. It might sink your business. You never know. So anyone who's in your life, man, they got to contribute to that. So if you have created any business, boy, you know how difficult it is to make anything profitable. You know how difficult it is. So how are you going to give a woman the easy track into your life? How are you going to set a woman up where she can just win? She just come in winning. She ain't even got to show up at practice, man. She ain't even got to dress out. She ain't got to do nothing, man. She just show up, man. It's like having a player on your team who don't ever see the field, and at the end of the season, he win the MVP. How the league going to get him the MVP and the boy ain't never played a game? That's the equivalent of taking a woman that you met who hasn't earned anything, who hasn't even proven herself worthy of being on the field. And you're just going to put her in a position, man, to make her the MVP of the championship game? She didn't play in the game. All these things that you built, all these seasons that you played, all of these playoff series that you've gone through, all of these wins and losses. Then when you finally win the Super Bowl, you just going to invite a woman in and say, guess what, baby? I'm a Super Bowl champion now. Come on, be with me. Now, you can do that if you want to be in a situation where the woman looks at you for your stuff value. See, there's stuff respect and there's self-respect. There's stuff value and there's self-value. So if you want a woman to look at you for your self-value, that's fine. Now, am I saying a woman isn't going to look at you for what you have? No, but a woman can look at you for what you have and feel like, okay, this is stability. Or a woman can look at you for what you have and say, let me hit him up for what he got. Let me take his stability and go create my own stability. There's two different ways. And so you don't know how a woman views you until you make her put in work. Once she starts to put in work, once she starts to prove herself, once she starts to earn her position, then you start to know she values it. So you got to understand, man, we are men who are working every day of our lives to build ourselves into the most alpha version of ourselves, man. And that's no one-hit wonder process. That's a long-term process. It takes the long-term process to reach the long-term progress. And without those two, there is no long-term success. So when you look at your life, think about how hard you work. When you look at your life, think about the things that other people were doing that you weren't doing. When you look at your life and realize the type of grind that it takes for you to shine the way you do. When you look at your life and you realize all the friends you lost, all the people who became enemies of your success, all the family members who turned on you, all the people you were working with who decided that they were better than you and they turned on you. All the people you had to leave behind because they decided they didn't want to contribute anymore. All the people who wanted to be the boss even though they didn't want to pay the cost. Think about all of those things, all of those people who actually did something and still had to end up being away from the scenario. How you going to invite somebody new in who ain't did nothing? The most difficult thing for you men to understand is that once you attain a level of success and you built yourself into the most alpha version of yourself and you're continuing to do that, very few women deserve to be in your presence. You have no business cold approaching hundreds of women once you've obtained a level of success. There ain't 10 women that should be around you, so why are you calling approaching 100 or 200? It gets to the point where when you attain any level, any significant level of financial success, you start to view the world differently. Why? Because the world starts to view you differently. You understand what I'm saying? As a man, now, I ain't saying you got to floss out, but at a certain point, you get more money, you're going to drive something nicer. That's just what we do. Now, you may not go and get the most expensive vehicle out there, but you're going to drive something nicer. Your time is going to be regimented and regulated a lot differently than someone who has to get up and go to a 9 to 5 every day. And so people notice that. People notice that every day you're in the bank at 9:30 a.m. And I'm telling you, man, it's one of those things, man, where you have to understand that the worst thing you can do is let somebody into your life who doesn't deserve to be there. The absolute worst thing you can ever do is let somebody in your life who doesn't deserve to be there. Because if they don't deserve it, they will not appreciate it. They will not appreciate it. I can't tell you, man, anything else about this, man. But so many of you men are caught up right now in a situation where you got women around you, man, who don't deserve to be around you. No man should settle for anything that reeks of lack of appreciation or desperation. And the only way to make sure that those two things are avoided is to make sure that everyone in your life is a contributor to the process of your progress. Especially that pretty little thing that you can't seem to get enough of. What's her contribution? Validation? Y'all comment down below and let me know what you think about this topic, man. I look forward to hearing what you men have to say. I'm out.
Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Simps claiming that they pimps, but they not though. Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Suckers claiming to be players, but they not though. Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Tricks acting like they max, but they not though. Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Betas claiming to be alpha, but they not though. Now I'm not gonna tell you, man, that you shouldn't value your woman at all. A woman does have value, but you can't overvalue her